From their roots as a North Carolina college band to their Grammy-winning albums and performances alongside comic Steve Martin, the Steep Canyon Rangers have become both iconic bluegrass performers and renowned musical innovators. Barrett Smith, upright bassist and vocalist for Steep Canyon Rangers, joins me now. Good morning, Barrett.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. You're from Asheville, and we should probably just start with an update in terms of how things are there now. How were you impacted?
Yeah, it's been quite a time up here. There's still a lot of work to be done, still a lot of recovery happening. Like a lot of the city was impacted, not in such a devastating way like the things you've seen on screens. There was a lot of that, but there's a lot of the city that instead maybe just had some minor damage, and we lost running water for a long time and power for a long time. Other than that, we're in a position where we could get out and help the areas that were more violently hit, which everybody, saw, of course. And it's all in recovery. It's all happening. And like the best thing anybody can do, people from outside of Asheville have been so helpful. And it's been very heartwarming. And now it's just time to take a trip to Asheville. That's what's up.
Yeah,
Such a
I'm
great
sure.
place to visit, and tourism is our thing, and we're ready for people to come back. And the city, in a lot of ways, is better than it ever was.
So your music is a blend of traditional and contemporary bluegrass, but there's several members in the band. What is the writing process? How does it begin, and who sort of carries the vocal torch, and who's doing the bulk of the music writing?
Good question. Yeah, it's a unique situation in that we have two guys who do the bulk of the writing. That's Graham Sharp, who's the banjo player and he sings, and Aaron Burdett, our newest member, who plays guitar and sings. They basically bring a song to the band, is how it typically goes, and the band has, for all of these years, turned into this kind of song processing, arranging machine. So they kind of stick the song in the machine and hope for the best, and then we deconstruct and reconstruct and flip everything around, lots of suggestions and lots of playing and having fun with it. And then at some point it comes out as a Steep Canyon Rangers song.
And so the music of the bluegrass roots that you draw from, they draw from Appalachia and the Piedmont
Mm-hmm.
region, which are distinct and
Mm-hmm.
I guess have their own unique musical heritage. Describe a little bit, if you can, how those come together, how they resemble each other, or how they're different.
As far as pure bluegrass goes, if we're talking about North Carolina, I think North Carolina has a lot of roots music that's not bluegrass, and a lot of that you find in the Piedmont blues and such. The traditions that we pull from more, namely bluegrass, I would say that up here in our western North Carolina area, you get a little more of a feel of what they would call old-time music, which is really like this kind of pre-bluegrass, old-timey thing that bluegrass sprouted out of. And it's just kind of what it sounds like. It's old-timey. It's old-time music. And it's like what Mark Twain said about opera. It's like it's better than it sounds. So it's kind of like, think about
You
like...
incorporate so many other sounds into the work that you do, though. I mean, you have jazz influences, rock. What
Yeah.
is your own musical base? Like, how did it form, and what did you come to the band with and wanting to do?
Yeah. So I joined the band probably, I don't know, like 7 years ago or so. The band's been together for like 20-something years, so it's this long-standing thing. I personally came in from a bluegrass area. That's like what I had been spending most of my time doing, is playing in bluegrass bands and classical music, strangely. That's what I've always studied forever. And I don't know how that transitioned into bluegrass. Besides, bluegrass was like fun party music that people wanted to hear and have a good time. And I wanted to party and have a good time, so I started playing bluegrass music. So there's that. And I mean, everybody in the band comes with a pretty unique kind of skill set and knowledge base musically. And it makes a pretty cool stew when you put it all together.
So your previous album was Morning Shift, but you've most recently recorded an entirely live album. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it, where it was recorded, and some of the songs on it.
We've just done a million studio albums. It's so many going back all those years, and we're real proud of them. But we got to a point after the Morning Shift album where we realized, like, man, live music is what we do, and we're real proud of the show we put on. It's just a great time. wait a second, if somebody looks up Steep Canyon Rangers on Spotify or something, they pull up these studio albums, and it's a representation of what we are, but it's not a really accurate representation of what we do all the time, and we love what we do all the time. So let's make an album that's just us playing live. So we really just took some recording equipment to a show, turned it into an album, and it's one of those really special places. We've got a handful of them that we've developed over the years. The Florida Theater in Jacksonville is one that's right at the beginning of that whole process, where it's like when we've done it once or twice, it's a sweet spot, which is the song. We all kind of together wrote the song Sweet Spot. And it's the second song on that Greenfield Lake live album. And we play it almost every show, or every show at least, when we're in a really sweet spot, because it feels good to say, like, all right, look how lucky we all are to be here in this place, having a good time and sharing music. I think Sweet Spot's one of my favorite songs from that album. We really want people to come out to downtown Jacksonville for this show. It's such a cool spot that's right there in the middle of this big city.
So we'll hear a little bit of Sweet Spot when we close out this interview, but we should say you are performing at the Florida Theater on Friday, and people can get ticket information at floridatheater.com. But I would be negligent not to ask you about something I'm sure you get asked about a lot, which is working alongside comic Steve Martin, which is a way that a lot of people actually get to know your band, sometimes for the first time. So what is that collaboration like for you? Do you tire of people asking about that as opposed to the other stuff and the many, many things that Steep Canyon Rangers has done over the years?
No, it's never get tired of it, because it's such a cool collaboration and friendship. I mean, at this point, we've been doing it together for, I don't know, like 15 years, maybe. We've been working together, which strangely is like, I don't know, maybe it's Steve Martin's longest standing collaboration with somebody. I don't know, which is crazy to say. But it's a deep relationship and a lot of love and respect back and forth. And so I definitely never get tired of talking about it. It's just it's an honor to hang out with such an iconic entertainment person, such a great mind. And these days when we play with Steve, it's almost always Steve Martin and Martin Short. It's like a stage show, and it's hilarious and wonderful. And Marty also is a real gem of a human. So to get to hang out with those two guys so much and make art with them is, man.
You probably get to learn some really good insults from each of them because they give each other such a hard time all the time.
Whatever you see about on their Only Murders in the Building show, or them giving each other a hard time, that's definitely how it is all the time. They love each other and constant ribbing, and pretty hilarious to be around.
That's fantastic. Well, Barrett Smith, it's a pleasure to talk to you. He is the upright bassist and vocalist for Steep Canyon Rangers in town Friday. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hope to see everybody out there. It's going to be a really cool Friday night.